Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, and innovation come together. My name is Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Will Reed, the founder of Sideways 6. Will, great seeing you, and welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm fantastic. Can't wait to get started. I've tuned into a few of these, so it's exciting to be here.
Fantastic, man. Let's go and dive with some questions. I'm really interested about what Sideways 6 does and how you lead the your team and a company and add all the creativity. So let's first start with the what inspired you founding Sideways 6 and give us an overview of the what Sideways 6 is and what it does.
Yeah, perfect. So Sideways Six, our mission is to help bring good ideas to life every day, everywhere, and from everyone. So we're an employee ideas company. At heart, we help mainly large, but also kind of mid and small size companies to listen to ideas from their employees, to find the best ones, bring them to life, run the whole thing. And we do that through a technology platform and a team of ideas experts. Where it came from really was kind of feeling the pain on the employee side first. So I worked at a big company. I felt that pain of not being heard. I was kind of very low down at this company. I was a graduate, but I was speaking to customers. I was living processes day to day. I was understanding these little things that could be done a little bit better. But outside of my manager, I didn't really have anywhere to go. I didn't have any internal networks that I was a part of, because especially because I was lower down and kind of newer in my career, I didn't have that. And so what happened was these kind of ideas that I had that might be interesting. They might have helped to improve the customer experience or the employee experience, or they might have helped us to be a little bit more efficient, had nowhere to go. And they just kind of rotted. And so I felt this experience of having those little bits of insight, those little ideas. Some of them would have been terrible, some of them okay, some of them potentially pretty good. But without anywhere to go with them, I felt that disengagement that comes with it. So actually, I came at this more from the employee side, from the people side, and then obviously started to when we had the idea for Sideways Six, started to speak to leaders in the innovation space, in the employee engagement space, and it turns out that there was this kind of big industry already, and so that's where we came from, and that's what we do.
Awesome, man. So, what problem are you solving in the realm of employee-driven innovation and idea management?
Yeah, so we've come at this in a couple of distinct ways. There's a lot of great vendors in this space. There's a lot of great ways to kind of manage employee ideas. My take is that most of the vendors in this space have come at this from a pretty innovation and R&D heavy perspective. And they've built some really cool tools to help you kind of bring these massive big ideas to life. So you might have tools to help scout startups and go out to external crowds. Um, we've taken a different approach. What we've done is we focused on three things. We focused on maximum engagement possible. So we want to help you to reach as many employees as possible, to get as many good ideas as possible, because we think that if you can do that, then if you keep that bar of idea quality high, then you actually end up with more good ideas to implement. With that, because we tend to get a lot more engagement than other ways of doing things, because we take what's called the native approach. So we sit within the tools that employees are already using. So within something like a Microsoft Teams or an intranet or a Slack or something like that. So we go for maximum engagement, and then we have to give you the tools to actually manage those ideas when they come in. So we focus a lot on scale. So how do we automate 90% of the process of actually prioritizing these ideas, finding the best ones, getting them to the right people in an organization that can help bring them to life? And then the third thing is focus. So instead of trying to build absolutely everything that an innovation team might want, we're really focused on helping you to run the best possible employee ideas programs that feed into your innovation efforts. And actually, if you wanted something to manage accelerator, you'd probably go somewhere else. But if you want the best possible way to manage ideas, because we're able to focus all of our development efforts there, then you would come to us. So that's really where we're trying to come at from. Come at that's where we're trying to come at this problem from, and we've seen a lot of success doing it.
Nice. Where do you see the future of this employee-driven innovation heading?
Yeah, so quite interesting. When we first started, we only worked with innovation teams. So it's innovation teams, innovation teams, innovation teams. I think that now those innovation teams tend to work quite closely with other areas of the business to help run challenges for them and with them. And so one of the emerging things that we're seeing is actually transformation teams or teams that are set up to help a company go from point A to point B over a period of 3 to 5 years. They're using employee ideas programs as a way to engage people in those strategies or transformations. And so one of the things that I see as the future here is how does employee ideas programs with the help of innovation teams break out of just being innovation and where innovation teams can be enablers for the rest of the organization. In terms of the actual product, obviously we're heavily betting on how AI and generative AI can help with the achievement of our mission and help with customer problems. But we're not going down the route of saying, write the first draft of this idea for me. I think that what you need to retain in this whole thing is the human element. And so we're really thinking about how AI can augment the human. I know that there is a temptation to say, generate an idea for me, but that's not what we're thinking. If you wanted that, there's almost no need for that person to be involved. You can just tell a GPT about the problem and get it to spit out 50 solutions and then get it to rank them against your criteria. We need that ingenuity. We need that little spark of insight that the GPT can't get at. And so we're trying to build tools with these kind of AI tools that help the employee, that help the person to potentially think through their idea a little bit more, potentially to shape their idea. So that's where I see the future of innovation and idea management going, and that's where we're kind of betting.
Yeah, kind of like not relying heavily on those data sets that are being scraped, right? And but having always a human in a loop,
exactly.
Which
there was an interesting study, which I am going to blank on the name of, but it was in HBR, and it talked about, it basically set up 50 MBA students versus versus ChatGPT. And I think this was actually with ChatGPT 3.5. And they asked each of them to come up with ideas that were supposed to be products that you could sell to students who are just going out to university for the first time. And ChatGPT beat, and then they put these ideas in front of students and asked them to say which ones they liked. ChatGPT beat the MBA graduates at coming up with ideas that people liked, right? So what does that mean for us as a profession when we're talking about idea management? Like, it means that if you're trying to solve a super generic problem, or if you're trying to solve a problem that doesn't need kind of employee insight into the specifics of that problem, you might as well just go and ask an AI.
yeah.
And so we have to focus in that area of like, well, where is it that the employee insight is actually the key? And so that's what I find really, really interesting.
Yeah. Will, you've been in business for a long time. Leadership is hard. What principles guide you an approach to leadership?
Yeah. So a few things that spring to mind. We kind of practice what we preach. So try to be a listening leader. So a listening leader to us, we've got a podcast on it, done some content on it. Is somebody who puts listening at scale at the heart of the way that they lead. So rather than kind of assuming you've got all the answers, going out to your team and asking them for their ideas, their feedback, their insight into the things that matter to you. Second thing that's important to me is focus. So we really try and make the most important thing, and cut our to-do lists down to the most important thing that we can be working on. The third thing is a kind of heavy honing in on customer. So what are we focused on is almost always, how do we help customers more, and how do we just listen to their problems and build great solutions for that, as opposed to looking too much at our competition and kind of what they're doing. So the three things that I would put at the heart of my leadership style and how I lead the company is being a listening leader, focusing, and then what do we focus on is customer, as opposed too much to kind of any of the other noise.
Yeah. Well, creativity and motivation are very important factors in leading employees and teams. how do you, or where do you find that level of creativity to motivate a your team, but also to motivate the employees to be engaged in innovation for your customers?
Yeah. I'll be honest, like with our team, so we have an international team. So we are HQ'd in London, but we have teams in the US and various other places. And what that means is that we spend a lot of our time online on calls, and it's pretty easy to feel like that's going well. And then you get everyone in a room. We get everyone in a room once a year at what we call our summer summit, and we kind of fly people over fairly regularly for workshops and things like that. And you get everyone in the room, and you forget that there's this magic that happens if you do it right. If you put a bit of effort into how you deal with everyone in the room, that happens when you all get in the room. So one of the key things for us is actually that FaceTime. It's like actually putting laptop screens down and kind of looking each other in the eye and working through problems. And it's so tempting. It's so tempting to say we can just do this over a Zoom call or a Teams call, but actually getting in the room is kind of key. And then when
Yeah.
it comes to customers, how we actually foster creativity for those employees, that's some of the AI stuff that we're talking about, right? So we, for example, have an ideas coach that our customers can use. If you're an employee on the shop floor at a retailer, potentially you're not so confident in you've got this idea, but you're not so confident in how you bring it forward, how you talk about it. And so we've got this AI ideas coach that will take you through that process, build your confidence for you, take you through a few creative exercises, and then the end result will be an idea that you're kind of proud of and confident of. Actually, our name Sideways Six came from, in my opinion, the kind of master of creativity, Edward de Bono. So sideways being lateral, and six being lateral from lateral thinking, and six being the six thinking hats. So we try and employ a bunch of his teachings and methods
Nice.
in the product and internally as well.
Now, this is a question that probably depends. Like, what do you think is Apple's Vision Pro will replace the physical need of gathering together?
I don't know. Like I would have said no. I would have said flat out no. And then you see some of these demos and you listen to people. I don't know if you saw Lex Friedman and Zuckerberg have that. They did a podcast together,
Okay. Yeah.
and it's quite striking. The reactions from people. I'd
Mhm.
like to say no. I'd like to, like, in my heart, I think that seems pretty dystopian. We just never actually see each other, and you put the goggles on your kids to see grandma. Um, but it does seem to be the direction of travel, right? It'll be interesting to see what happens with how we kind of build up those social cues, or how we do things with like haptic feedback, or these type of things to make it a more human experience, because I think most of the magic comes from it being a human experience.
Yeah, I mean we're spirit beings, and that energy that can bring in one place where two or three more gather together is like it's the magic what that happens. So I'm not sure it's also in the same way. Will, what does a bold mean to you? Like the word bold?
So I think how I try and be bold is probably that bit on like not worrying too much about what other people are up to, and not worrying too much about what other people think about what we do, professionally or personally, outside of the people that matter. So in the professional realm, that means, well, actually, let's start with the personal realm. If you worried about the opinions of kind of other people with everything that you do, there will always be some proportion of people that think you're doing the wrong thing. And that's a tempting kind of human experience, to human emotion to feel. So to be bold personally, I think, is to worry more about what you feel and know to be true, and know to be the direction that you should be going, and to care more about your genuine interests and genuine feelings than what the world tells you should be doing, or what the world kind of does. So if you do the same things as everyone else, you can expect the same results, and potentially that's not what you need, outside of obviously a few people who really matter to you, your family and close friends and your relationship and things like that. And how that plays into the professional realm is the kind of, we have courage in our convictions, when it comes to, like, even if no one's done this before, even if Uh, it's not something that's typically done by our market. If we think it's right for our customers and we think we've got a great solution, we'll put it out there and we'll work on it and we'll get it out there. And so that's how we try and be bold professionally.
Fantastic. We're coming close to 2024. Your final bold thoughts for 2024, what the 24 is bringing to us?
Yeah, I mean it's fascinating, right? So we're taping this on the morning that Sam Altman's just come back to OpenAI, and there's rumors that the whole drama that's happened came from people trying to kind of decelerate what OpenAI might have produced or working on. I think 2024 is going to see a huge amount of change. I think I feel foolish to try and predict what that change looks and feels like, but I think it will be a year of humongous change. And all I hope is that there is this kind of thought about the human in that change. So it's I'm a technologist. I'm someone who gets very excited by technological progress. But there will be people that get left behind by this. There will be people who are not staying on the cusp of it, who have the potential to be discarded. So I guess my hope in a personal and professional setting is that we remember the human, and we remember to kind of look after those type of people and make sure that actually these technological leaps are beneficial for everybody and not just.
Yeah, interesting. A massive change that I see and I feel in 2024 will lead us to some chaos. That chaos that will be bring us some great opportunity on the innovation side and accelerate innovation, and an opportunity for everyone to upskill themselves and grow. So it's really, really exciting, but also at the same time, it's quite a it'll bring some anxiety in the market. Let's put it this way.
You're absolutely right. I speak to people like kind of fellow scale up founders or people in innovation teams at large enterprises, and there's almost a feeling for some people of like not being able to move very or being stunned into staying in the same place because, well, what does it matter if I try and build something now, if I try and adapt to this change, it'll only have changed massively in a month's time. So it's a really fascinating time.
Yeah. Well, I wish we have a more time. Always be bold, Will. Congrats on all your achievements, and thank you for joining me in this Bold Talk series. Until next time, take care, be great, and be bold always.
Thanks for having me.